Diets are overrated, and today I'm going to explain to you why you should be tracking your calories instead of following some diet meal plan that's not going to work for you. We're going to go over a pros and cons list of each side, both the diet and the tracking the calories. But before we do that, I want to get into a little bit about who I am. My name is Anthony Bursick. I've been training in the gym for 5 years. I've been an online fitness coach for 2 years. When I started out in the gym, I was insecure, I was skinny fat, and I was bullied straight up. I didn't like who I was. I had no confidence, and I was able to change all of that through the gym. And I never sacrificed my lifestyle throughout this process. Obviously, I had to learn along the way, about how to properly track your calories, how to properly train, and all this stuff. But I was able to learn that, and because I was able to learn that, I was able to get into great shape. Obviously, we had our ups and downs. I got fat at one point, pretty fat, but now I know what I'm doing. So here I am teaching other people how to do the exact same thing without sacrificing their lifestyle and following some diet that they hate.
Diets are completely overrated, and you might be asking yourself, why would you say that, Anthony? Well, the first things first is they're super excessive, okay? There's no leanability with them. You're going to be following some meal plan with super strict. You got to eat chicken, broccoli, and rice for dinner, and ground beef, and like all this stuff that you're not going to want to stick to. You're not going to have the time to stick to it, and you're not going to enjoy sticking to it, right? And the other thing, too, is diets work differently for each person, okay? Odds are you didn't get someone to build out your diet personally for you, right? You're going to find this diet online, this meal plan online, and it's not built out for you. If it's not built out for you, then you're not going to get the results that you're looking for from it. And the only time you should be on a diet, like a strict meal plan diet, is if you're a bodybuilder, okay? Because if you're a bodybuilder, you're trying to get on stage, you're trying to reach some incredibly lean body fat percentage, and it is built out for you. The plan is built out for you. You paid someone to build it out. So this is when diet plans, meal plans are actually acceptable and work the best for a person. See, instead of doing this, what you should be doing is tracking your calories and macros instead. You might be asking me, why is this better, Anthony? Well, I'll tell you why. When you're doing tracking your calories and macros, you're going to learn about nutrition. You're going to learn about what good proteins are. You're going to learn about what good carbs and fats are. You're going to actually learn what's filled with protein, what's filled with carbs, what's filled with fats, and this is going to teach you into knowing, okay, this is what I should be eating. That's super high protein. That's going to help me put on muscle or make sure I don't lose any muscle on my cut. Stuff like that, right? And also, there's way more flexibility and balance when it comes to tracking your calories and macros, because if you're hitting, your protein goal and your calorie goal, and if you can fit in a donut or a burger or whatever it is you want, if you can fit it into there and you still hit your macros and your calorie goal, you're fine. You're good. You're smiling, right? But this is much better for the average person. Average person, you're not trying to step on stage. You're not trying to, starve yourself and eat some diet you hate. This is much better for someone who wants something sustainable long term. Okay? So from here, I want to get into the pros and cons of dieting, okay? Because there are pros to it, but there's cons as well. And we're going to be going into the pros and cons of tracking your calories and macros as well. First, we're going to do this. Let's go to the pros side first. So there's much more structure when you're following a diet or a meal plan, okay? It's much easier to stick to it. Everything is there built out for you. It's there, right? It's easy. It's definitely easy to follow as well because everything is there once again. Results will be probably quicker, to be honest, because everything is built out to a T. So there's no slipping up. There's nothing that can possibly go wrong if you stick to it, right? You could also with this though, you could argue that if you're hitting your calories and macros every day when you're tracking, you're going to get just as quick results. It all depends on the person, the goals, and that stuff, right? Also builds discipline, because if you're going to stick to a meal plan, that requires discipline. That's not something you can just say, 1 week I'm going to follow a diet and then boom, I'm exactly where I want to be. No, you're going to have to stick to it for months on end. And by doing that, you're going to build discipline. It's inevitable, which obviously is great. But the cons when it comes to this now are it's really restrictive, okay? You can't, go have a donut or that cookie that you want. You can't go get Burger King or whatever it is you may want. You can't do that because you are on a meal plan, right? It's not sustainable long term. You're going to get sick of it. You're not going to eat the same thing for the next 5 years. It's not happening, okay? You might eat certain things consistently, but you're not going to want to eat the same things over and over and over and over again. It teaches you nothing about nutrition. When you're tracking your calories, you're going to actually have to learn, how many calories that piece of chicken is, or how many calories your donut is, or your ground beef or your steak or your eggs, whatever it may be. You're going to actually learn about what those calories are, what protein's in them. When you're following a meal plan, you're not going to learn, because you're not going to care to learn, because, I need to have the chicken needs to weigh 250 grams. Okay, you're not going to care. You're just going to follow the plan. And it doesn't teach you flexibility, because when it comes to dieting and, having a balanced lifestyle, you're going to need to have flexibility, because there's going to be nights out you want to go drinking with the guys or go out for dinner or whatever it may be. Or maybe, at work you want to grab lunch with the guys. It's on the boss or something, or boss comes with pizza, whatever it may be. You're going to be wanting to know how to make this work with your diet. And if you're following not your diet, you're going to want to know how to make this work. And if you're following a diet, you're not going to know how to make it work. Social events absolutely suck, because you can't eat food. You can't drink anything. You're following a meal plan. Fuck that. Like, do you know how weird it is? And plus, you're going to get teased. Especially if you're with like some coworkers after work hitting the bar or something like that. They're going to tease the shit out of you. Who wants that? Like, seriously. You're going to look like, I get it, you have goals, but you look like a little bit of a weirdo. It is time consuming. You got to meal prep. You got to always be cooking your meals. It takes time, and a lot of people don't have time, especially, people who work long jobs. You're not going to want to, spend, whether it's an hour in the morning cooking or a total of like 7 hours, 6 hours a week cooking all your meals, because if you cook them all on Sunday, I'm willing to bet money that they're not going to last all the way to Sunday. They're going to go bad. So you're going to have to cook again through the week. It takes time. People have lives. You have lives. It's not going to work for you. Okay, so if we look over this list right here, as you can tell, there's a lot more cons, which is why I say tracking your calories is way better. And now let's go over to tracking your calories, the pros and cons. So let's go over the pros first, okay? So you still get to eat foods you like. You're tracking your calories. You make it work. It's pretty simple. If I can have a donut before every single workout and I'm losing fat, you can too, as long as you make it work with your macros and your calories. Or you want to, I'll break this down a little bit more actually. Let's say you're going to go out for dinner and all of your friends, let's say you want to save 1,000 calories for space. You're going out for dinner with all your friends. You're going to be able to plan out all the meals beforehand to make sure they're super high protein, which honestly should be your main priority, especially when it comes to fitness and the gym and that stuff. You want to make sure you're getting your protein in, especially if you're going to have 1,000 calories and maybe it's 30 grams of protein if you're lucky, because you're eating out somewhere and it's probably a restaurant or whatever it may be. Maybe you're going to the movies and you want that large popcorn, whatever. You need to make sure that you're hitting your protein goal beforehand, and you can make that work whenever you're tracking your calories. It's going to teach you portion control. It's going to allow you to learn how to actually, for when you're going to have to, with tracking your calories, okay, yeah, you're going to have to scale some things out. Sometimes you won't have to if it's like microwave popcorn or something like that, like stuff with barcodes. Okay, sure, it makes it a little easier, but you're going to have to scale it out, really make sure you're eating the right portions, which is going to help you learn how to actually control how much you're eating. Because a lot of times people don't realize how much they're actually eating in calories. It's much more sustainable long term because you're switching up what you are eating. Instead of sticking to some horrible meal plan, you're actually switching up all the time. You're going to be able to adjust. You want to have, pizza one night? Okay, you can make it work. Or you want to go out and to have some drinks with the guys, you can make it work. It's sustainable long term. Social events don't suck. Going back to what I just said, you want to go out with your friends, go drinking, You can make it work. Or you want to go for dinner, you can make it work. You make sure you have space in calories. You've already hit your protein, because you can hit your protein goal with, off the top of my head, you could probably hit it with like 1,500 calories. If you eat a lot of high protein things, you can make it work. It may not be everything you want to eat during the day, but obviously you have goals. There has to be some things that get sacrificed. You're still, it's not as big as a sacrifice with the dieting, like meal plan, but you're still going to enjoy your life. There's some small sacrifices though. And there's no such thing as bad foods. It's just balance, because everything can work into your diet. If you understand macros, if you understand how it works and calories, you can have whatever you want. There's no such thing as a bad food. It's going to teach you about nutrition and macros, obviously, because whenever you're doing this, tracking your calories, you're going to learn about, okay, these 6 eggs have 38 grams of protein. This piece of chicken has 60 grams of protein. You're going to be able to learn that, and you're going to be able to learn, okay, this rice has 80 grams of carbs. This is 250 calories. You're going to learn about this stuff, right? So you're actually going to know what you're doing, instead of just following something that you found online or someone made for you that doesn't teach you anything in reality. It also teaches you self-control, okay? Because you have to have some control with this. Like, you know what I mean? You're going to be following like your calorie goals. You're following calorie goals. You're not following a meal plan. You're following calorie goals. And sometimes you're going to fuck up. I've fucked up before. I've looked at my MyFitnessPal and seen that I got 100 calories left, and it's like 3 p.m. and I'm like, shit, I can't really eat anything else today. That's happened to me before. It'll happen to everyone. And you have to control yourself so you don't just say fuck it and eat 1,000 calories over. I've done that before. Trust me, you feel like shit the next day. Do yourself a favor and don't do it. Also teach you awareness of foods, okay? Because a lot of people don't really realize what macros or what nutrients are in foods. Like, people really underestimate how many calories foods are, or what is actually in foods. So by tracking your calories, you're going to learn, and you're going to actually become aware of what you're putting in your body and the nutrients and the macros in them. So now that we've gone over that, let's go over the cons. So the first thing is you're logging your foods. Okay, you know what? You adjust over time. It can be a little time consuming at first, but you adjust to it. It becomes second nature to you over time. Realistically, I think it was about a month before I really adjusted, and it was normal to me to be logging my foods. It's a little time consuming at first because you're not used to it. You don't have like the rhythm and all that stuff. And the other thing too is you don't have the saved not macro things. You don't have the saved foods in your tracking app, because what you can do with a lot of these apps is save your foods and you can just instantly just hit plus. So it's automatically in your calories. That's something I do a lot. I'll weigh it out and then I'll go, okay, plus, because I weighed it out to the same thing that I had beforehand. Or when it comes to, if you're having something with a barcode, you don't have to scan the barcode every time if you save it. So that makes things much easier too. It can be easy to mistrack, which is more or less for the, like those photo tracker apps. Those are inaccurate, super inaccurate. I wouldn't recommend using those. If it's like a last case scenario, okay, sure. But it's much better to scale out your food so you don't run into this problem and mistrack your calories. You can become obsessive over numbers. Yeah, like it's not a good thing to, obsess over, oh, how much protein am I eating, or how many calories am I eating? Like it can become a little much, but if you just aren't a sociopath, you'll be fine. Like realistically, I don't have this problem whatsoever. I don't really know anyone that has this problem whatsoever, but I've heard of it before. Sure, when you think of it like this, would you rather obsess over following a meal plan, or would you rather obsess over hitting 200 grams of protein or 2,400 calories? What would you rather obsess over? I know me personally, I'm taking the numbers. Okay. So overall, when you look at these lists, you look at the pros and cons of tracking calories, there's a lot more pros. Okay. And then when you go over to the diet, there's a lot more cons. So what does that tell you right there? That tells you that there is no point for you to be tracking or following a meal plan. You should be tracking your calories instead, because at the end of the day, diet's overrated. Unless you are a bodybuilder, you shouldn't be doing that. The average person who works and has a busy life and wants to still live their life and have a good lifestyle and still hit their goals, tracking your calories is by far the better option. Okay? Diets, it's not worth it. And now you might be saying, well, I don't really know how to track my calories. Like, I don't know what I'm doing whatsoever. That's okay. Because you know what? In the link in the bio, you can actually book a call with me and we can go over everything. We can talk about how to track your calories properly, how to understand it. And I'd be more than happy to sit there and walk you through it and teach you and help you reach your goals at the end of the day. Because people think it's really hard to track your calories, but in reality, it's not. Once you understand it, it is so simple. And trust me, you will be so happy that you made the switch from following a diet, following a meal plan, to tracking your calories and macros. It is night and day, way better. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram as well. I post on there daily. I post on YouTube every 2 times a week now is what I'm aiming for. That's what I'm doing. So go ahead, follow me on Instagram. The link to that will also be in the bio. I hope you boys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any certain topics you want me to go over, drop them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to drop some sauce on that.